All right. Well, today's topic is something that I've been thinking about for a long time, and I've never heard anybody really get close to having any kind of answer or insight, or whether people even think about this sort of thing. But I, my big question right now revolves around emotions. Um, and I think whether you're a spiritual, religious person, whether you're a strict materialist, atheistic. This is all just, random freak accident of nature, this life thing, right? Like we as humans have the capacity for a wide range of definable states of emotion, right? And even animals, you know, to some degree, have some of these emotions. But humans, we have a lot of them, and they are seemingly shared across, you know, different races, different cultures, different, it's very consistent. So, regardless of your background, I think if you're a religious person, you would have an interesting answer. You should have one. Why would God give us these emotions, including the emotions of guilt, shame, anger, hatred, any of that? Love. Okay, we're all comfortable with the love one. That's good. We're comfortable with recognizing that love is an emotion that, hey, bro, love, what? Love conquers all. Uh, you know, it's, love or lust, I guess. We differentiate those, but, and that leads to another interesting question. But, these are the emotions that that lead to procreating life, bringing forth new beings, right? And, so on the love and lust angle, you might ask well, we know religious people, God's love. That's a concept that's very universally accepted as true, if you want to say that. But even the strict material, atheistic, science based being could maybe argue that, well, it's just a biological trick, right? It's a biological trick just to get us to, carry out this instinct or these urge and instincts. That's another facet of this emotion question. But it's all there. It's biological trick just to make you want to, do the thing so that life can sustain itself. Well, why? That still doesn't explain the motive behind why we would be installed with that. You know what I mean? Like if this is all a product of evolution, human life, and we are simply just, some random freak natural occurrence, why, how would you explain instincts and, like, what would even be a biological motivation for that? Why would the body care about that? You can't really explain that in a scientific, materialistic, atheistic way without some force, some being larger than just one individual propelling it forward with some sort of agenda, right? Well, that opens up a can of worms for an atheist point of view. But let's take the other side. Let's take the religious guide, you know, creator being type angle as well. Like, okay, fine. Yeah, God wants us to, okay, have kids and all that. Great. Well, why do we have these anger, hate, jealousy? And when I say jealousy, I mean like extreme things that make you want to take action against someone, like revenge, vengeance, uh, greed, things we generally consider negative emotions. Okay, great. We have negative and positive emotions. All right. Well, how do we explain why we have those even to begin with in terms of, spiritual or biological explanations? Or because we're told we should spiritually bypass all those emotions and go straight to stay in the state of love and light. And I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a lot of Christians like to use the term new age, but even Christians try to stay in this new agey love and light emotional state. So there is no difference there. I don't care what the definitions given by people who honestly can't answer the question that I'm asking here today about emotions, unless somebody's going to really surprise me. But so far, nobody has even approached this topic and is even asking the questions I'm asking about it. Because, we'll go so far and as deep to talk about ego dissolution, and, ultimately that ends up in a state where you feel nothing, you think nothing, or, to some people, when you say, get rid of your ego, they will still revert to the idea that, no, that's just a state of constantly being in love and positivity and not, dwelling or even experiencing any of these so-called negative emotions. Now, I did see, back in like 2008 when I was just getting into certain ideas, long story that I'll skip, but this is what kind of spurred my initial interest in pursuing psychology as the only viable path of interest in my going back to university pursuit, was looking at, it was a Buddhist philosophy website. I think it was called either View on Buddhism or A View on Buddhism website, but they used to have a section on there called Problematic Emotions. And it really only listed about, I think, 6 or so. And, even Buddhism has a lot of quotes and teachings or sayings about these matters, but they're all just, they're not ever addressed as to, they'll tell you to avoid them, but they won't tell you why we have them in the first place. Does anybody know? Does anybody have an answer to that? And what are the value of these emotions at all? Like, sure, we place a high value on love emotion. And, personally speaking, I do also. But I also see a value in when I'm feeling what I would call righteous anger, not misdirected anger, not anger born from selfish intent or, jealousy or things like that of any kind, but anger based on, you know, an honest reaction to a certain threat of some type, or, some sort of trespass, or watching someone else harm someone else, or bully them, or seeing somebody mistreat a child or an animal, or, driving down the road and somebody's driving reckless around you, you know, gives me a sense of anger sometimes because that person is in some way putting you at risk based on their own mind state of emotion, whatever they're going through, to act that way in disregard of everyone else's health, safety, and what they got going on at that time. So on this topic of emotion, we live in a world, there's a lot of emotions. I mean, you can look at things like even like patriotism, or, you know, the emotion that makes somebody want to go join the military or be a policeman, or, you know, what, why are those emotions unquestioned, first of all, and valued, yet so little or misunderstood or not understood at all? I don't even think we think about these things. I think we just accept, the narrative around them. If you're depressed, you pop some pills and make you pop some heavy pills. Well, that doesn't fix the problem. And this is where the psychology for me comes in, because, even psychology professionals, experts, they don't deal with the origin of these emotions. I don't even think they come up with theories about why we have certain emotions, these negative emotions, especially when it comes to like depression or anxieties, or what's some other ones? Even things like disassociation, personality disorders. And to me, those are, if not emotional states, I would definitely say there's a emotional component to all those. And we just say, well, it's genetics, it's chemical imbalance, all these materialistic or materialism explanations, but they still don't explain why we would have them in the first place. Would there not be some evolutionary / survival / biological benefit for all these emotions? What would be evolutionary about having emotions that are not in some way there to benefit the organism, if we're going to explain away even procreation as a biological benefit? Right? So if we can explain away love and the urge to want to pair bond and procreate on a material scientific basis, are we just going to say, well, every other emotion, whether it be anger, hate, greed, all of that is all for the one emotion to procreate? And in that vein, why, if these people really believe this, these strict materialistic, scientific based, you know, great thinkers of our day, people come up with this shit, why would they? You would think if you're aware of this and you know this, then you would want to have multiple children. You'd be like, oh, okay, I know what. Obviously, this is what this is the way of evolution. So now that I know this, I can, without a doubt, uh, basically give nature what it would want to do, or what it is naturally urging you to want to do by tricking you. But no, they don't do that. They're having no kids, or doing very unnatural things to themselves. Whereas a strict religious point of view, they might not, their religion says they can't, have birth control. So every 9 months they popping out new kids. And I do know somebody in my family that, was doing that. He had like 12 kids at one point. So that's my question, bro. Emotions. Why do we have them? And once we explain that, the next question is, okay, why are we demonizing some emotions and spiritually bypassing them for sake of another emotion, which we find to be the only acceptable state of mind, right? Like, we generally, or most religious Christian people would probably generally agree that the highest emotion, is this God's love. Like, God is love and all these, Well, I thought God was everything, right? So I'm really interested in any theories or answers anybody has, and yeah. Otherwise, I'm alone in my imagination over here, right? All right. Maybe that's maybe that's some good content. Later, Reeves.